But this is a learning opportunity, and the opportunity for us to prevent this from happening going forward, not only at this institution, but at others where this has happened and continues to happen, is something we need to learn from. And so let's take the opportunity to bring President Shafiq, university leaders, bring them to Albany, put them on in a hearing, swear them in, and have them testify. What did they know? When did they know it? Why didn't they prioritize the safety of the students of this institution or the integrity of the institution and hold them accountable? So I have the privilege of standing here today with colleagues, not only from the state Senate, but also on the anti-Semitism task force. With me is Senator Weber, Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, and Senator Rhodes, who you will hear from shortly. But it's a simple point. It's accountability. It's understanding that you have to take responsibility when you've done things that are wrong and you put people in harm's way. And we expect that from each and every one of us in society, but not least of which, we expect it from those who lead our prestigious universities of higher learning. So with that, let me take the opportunity to introduce my colleague, Senator Bill Weber. Senator Weber.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Martins. I'm Senator Bill Weber. I'm from Rockland County, and I represent a vibrant Jewish community, one of the largest Jewish populations per capita of any county in Rockland County. So this really hits home. These acts of anti-Semitism that are going on college universities throughout New York State and really throughout the country right now is really concerning. I want to thank the New York City Police Department for clearing the domestic terrorists and paid agitators. That's right, domestic terrorists and paid agitators that were on this campus wreaking havoc, causing destruction, causing concern, intimidating students. Students that, as Jack Martin said, come here to learn at these fine institutions, and they should not have to be harassed and intimidated every single day. So I'm proud of the New York City Police Department on what they did, and I'm so thrilled to be here today to stand in solidarity with not only the senators that are here from the Working Family Group, from the Anti-Semitism Work Group, and my other colleagues from the State Senate, but we need to stand here with all of our Democratic colleagues. They should be here with us, speaking in one voice to denounce what we've seen as the scourge of anti-Semitism. And it didn't start October 7th. It started at the beginning of time. But we started our Anti-Semitism Work Group sometime early last year. We came out with our report. The Senate majority has refused to act upon it. We need to have action. There needs to be accountability. Everyone that runs these universities that are allowing these anti-Semitic activities to fester on their campuses that are in New York State should be called and should be held accountable at hearings by higher ed, by the investigative committees up in Albany. There's taxpayer dollars, millions and millions of taxpayer dollars being spent on these universities. They do not have the right to allow hate to be taught every single day. They need to be held accountable, and if we need to take away some of their tax-exempt status and really hit them in the pocketbook, that's what we need to do. But again, I want to thank all my colleagues for coming here today, because we really, really, really need to take this seriously. This cannot happen, and we will not allow this to stand. Thank you very much. I want to introduce now Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick, who represents the 5 towns.
Thank you, Senator Weber. I'm Senator Patricia Canzoneri Fitzpatrick from the 9th Senate District in Nassau County, and I have the proud distinction of representing the 5 towns, which is a very large Jewish community. As a mom of 4 and a parent of a student who is engaged in her finals right now down in Virginia, who is being distracted by what is going on her campus, it is atrocious. I can say personally that what has gone on should not be tolerated. As a member of the Anti-Semitism Task Force, I can tell you that what is going on should not be tolerated. Shame on the President of Columbia for not acting sooner to get this under control. That's what we have. We have lack of control, lack of leadership. It leads to chaos. Our police had to come onto this campus. Thank God for the NYPD to be there to secure the safety of all of the students on Columbia University and around our great city. This should not be happening, and it needs to stop. We recognized that there was an issue with anti-Semitism, as Senator Martin said, long before October 7th. It has only increased since then, and we need to take action. There has to be consequences for the tragic events that have been going on, and it is tragic because any student who is paid for their college education and cannot enjoy their campus is a tragedy because they don't get that time back. So we need to take action. And as Senator Martin said, I call on our colleagues on the Democrat side that they must take action. I call on the governor. She must take action. We cannot stand by and let this continue. And there needs to be consequences. The First Amendment takes us so far, but when you are calling for the death of America and the death of other people, the death of Israel, the death of Jews, that is intolerable. We would not tolerate it against any other minority group, and we should not tolerate it against our Jewish brothers and sisters. So I stand with my colleagues in the Anti-Semitism Task Force in calling for action. There must be action so that everybody feels safe. We all deserve that as New Yorkers, as Americans. We deserve to be able to have an education and feel safe. So I thank you all for being here. I hope my colleagues will listen to this very strong message. And I'd like to introduce Senator Steve Rhodes, my colleague in government from Nassau County.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator Canzoneri Fitzpatrick. I'm Senator Steve Rhodes. I have the honor of representing the 5th Senate District, which covers a portion of a community that I share with Senator Jack Martins, the community of Plainview, the home of one of our American hostages that it's being held by Hamas, Omer Nutra. What happened on this campus is unconscionable. And what happened on this campus, you have seen, has been a springboard for similar types of activity going on all across the state of New York. And this could have been prevented. The message here is simple. You need to protect students on your campus, and you can't allow campuses like this here at Columbia to become bastions of hate. There was no difference from what you saw going on right behind us to what you would have seen in 1939 Germany, from what you would have seen in the lead up to the Holocaust. Some of the same comments, some of the same attitudes, some of the same actions, and the notion that it took weeks for the university administration and President Shafiq to act needs to be explained. There need to be consequences for those actions, not just for the students, not just for the outside agitators who were permitted to occupy this campus, but for a college administration that completely shirked its responsibility, its primary responsibility, to educate our students and to keep our students safe. That can't be tolerated. We can't see that here at Columbia, and we can't see that at any institution anywhere in the United States, but especially not here in the great state of New York. And one of the additional things that we're calling on today is for the passage of legislation that I've introduced along with my colleagues, which is that the activities that you saw here were not just anti-Semitic activities. They were actually activities in support of terrorist organizations. Hamas is a terrorist organization defined under Section 1180, Section 8, Article 8 of the United States Code, Section 1189, defines a list of terrorist organizations established by the federal government. Hamas and Hezbollah are on that list. And so to not only permit anti-Semitic activities, but to permit activities that are in support of terrorist organizations recognized by the federal government to take place on your campus is similarly unconscionable. And so the legislation that we're introducing is saying that any institution that permits those activities to take place on their campuses will receive no funding from New York State. We will not allow our tax dollars to be used as a platform for intolerance, hatred, and pro-terrorist activities to take place. And so I am proud to join my colleagues today calling for the one thing that has been sorely lacking, not only with respect to what happened here at Columbia, but it continues to be sorely lacking in the state of New York, and that is accountability for dangerous conduct. And that stops today. So we encourage our Democratic colleagues to join us to protect the citizens of the state of New York, to protect the integrity of our college institutions and universities here in the state, and most importantly, to live up to our ideals of being a state that does not permit hate, intolerance, and stands up for justice and the rights of all New Yorkers to participate in our society and feel comfortable participating in our society, certainly as members of our collegiate institutions. And at this point, I will turn it back over to Senator Martins. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. At this point, I'm going to introduce a journalist, an influencer, someone who has led the fight when it comes to these campus demonstrations and the, frankly, blatant anti-Semitism and often, unfortunately, too often, violent anti-Semitism that we have seen. Emily Austin. Emily.
I stand here very grateful for everybody standing behind me right now, including the NYPD, who I wish did not have to stand behind me to make sure that Jewish students are protected. So first and foremost, thank you guys for being so vocal about, quite honestly, what is just blatant anti-Semitism. But it's nice to know that in the office we have allies, because it's very easy to feel alone throughout these times. And I do not come before you as a politician yet. But right now, I am a 22-year-old Jewish student who, for some reason, has to feel like I need to beg and plead to be protected as a Jewish student walking around. And as somebody who was born and raised in the state of New York, currently living in the 5 towns, it's sad that, you know, we study the Holocaust, we say never again, but when never again is happening right before our eyes, suddenly people turn a blind eye, or even worse, people like President Shafiq thinks that allowing it to happen will make it die down, but we all know that that's not true, including herself. Now, President Shafiq has handled this situation wrong from day one. She has allowed it to get to the point of chaos and terror, instead of calling the NYPD from day one and putting an end to the madness, to the anti-Semitism, to the anti-American rhetoric that was being projected on campuses. She waited until it became so out of hand that arrests had to be made. And now, rather than address the root of the problem, which is to expel the students who are on campuses promoting terror, and don't be mistaken, these students are not pro-Palestinian. They are anti-Jew, anti-Israel, and yes, anti-American. Why are you enjoying the privileges of being an American citizen in a privileged institution, and dare you chant death to America here in the state of New York? So instead of addressing the root of the problem, President Shafiq has asked the NYPD to remain on campus until May 17th, instead of just expelling the students promoting terrorism. She is running everything backwards, and she should resign immediately. She lacks the accountability that we need to put pressure for her to face. Because if not for us, then who? And if not now, then when? She has proven that she is not capable of leading Columbia University. And from here on out, she sets a bad precedent, not only to Jewish students, but to all students, that hate can be tolerated. Is that a message that we would like to send? Because it starts with the Jews, but it does not end with the Jews. Tomorrow it will be the Black community, then it will be the Asian community, and then it will be the LGBTQ community. And I hope that in none of those instances will hate like this ever be allowed. But we cannot be hypocrites. We need to be a strong ally to every community in the face of hate, and we should have zero tolerance for hate, especially crossing a border into terrorism, not on this campus, not in this state, and not in this country. So thank you all for being here today, and a special thanks to all of you for strongly leading the fight that I cannot lead in politics for this. And now I think we're going to hear from Mazi. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Yes, I have the privilege of sharing, I guess, communities that we represent in common. Legislator Pillip represents the North Shore of Nassau County, as do I. The great communities of Great Neck, areas of Manhasset, areas of Port Washington, areas that have strong Jewish communities and a strong heritage. And obviously, the legislator is not only well-versed in dealing with the scourge of anti-Semitism, but knows firsthand and has family in Israel that was there on October 7th and was in harm's way. And so her perspective is not only welcome, but very much appreciated. Mazi, if you'd say a few words.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mazi Philip. I'm Nassau County Legislator. I would like to take this opportunity and to thank my colleagues in government for being here, and Emily, our activist. What we saw in the last 2 weeks is completely insanity. I just could not believe how Jewish students were treated since October 7th. Yes, everything started way before, but after October 7th, things are out of control. And it's so sad to see when everything was going on, our elected officials and our governor and the school administration, they were all silent. It took them too long to do something about this. This is just unbelievable how they will allow Jewish students to be distracted every single day and nobody's saying anything. Enough is enough. And I'm calling today, where is Governor Hochul? What is your job? Where is your responsibility to the Jewish students? Why you are waiting? And for who? I just cannot believe what we saw in the last 6-7 months. All the hate slogan, death to the Jews, gas to the Jews, the final solution, the things the student was using in the last 6-7 months has to stop immediately. And this is a great opportunity to thank today NYPD officers, the true heroes, finally stop this insanity. And this is a message to those terrorist supporters. Absolutely, you don't have a clue who you are supporting. Let me tell you, I grew up in Israel, and I am a proud black Jewish woman who served in the IDF. I know what Israel is about. All this hate and all this information you are getting about Israel is already past the point of anti-Semitism. Is a true hate. It's clearly you don't understand what the history of that region. You are supporting a terrorist organization, an organization that uses own people to destroy their life. They don't even care about their own people. Forget about Israel. You are keep supporting them by burning American flag? I mean, shame on you. How you can live in this beautiful country, benefit from all the freedom, and then burn the American flag? You don't have appreciation to our soldiers that putting their life every single day so you can practice freedom. And how we allowing Palestinian flag to be instead of our flag, the American flag? You absolutely so wrong, and it's clearly on the way you lost your mind. And this is a message to the American people: wake up. You know what? Hamas supporters are here. We are seeing this every single day. If we are not going to stop it right now, it's going to be too late. And to my Jewish students, I am so proud of you. You stood proud and tall, and you're fighting your fight. And we are here to support you. We will do anything in our power to hold those terrorist supporters accountable. Enough is enough, and Israel is high, and we will fight back. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
So, thank you, Legislator Phil. So let's understand something. This is all about accountability and responsibility. It's about the responsibility our universities have to their students. It's about truth, and it's about the responsibility that our educators have to make sure that our students are safe. But today, it's also about the fact that we should all be standing here together, Republicans and Democrats from across the aisle, because there shouldn't be any division when it comes to protecting students. There should be no division when it comes to fighting back on anti-Semitism. But yet I will challenge you to go out there and look for any comments from our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Any comments condemning what happened here at Columbia, what's happening at NYU, what's happening at CUNY, what's happening out at Stony Brook, what happened up at Binghamton, and we can go on and on and on. Where is the outrage? And just because it involves the Jewish community and attacks on Jews, they hide. Just because these attacks are being organized and funded by the left wing of the Democrat Party, they feel uncomfortable in stepping up. But it's their responsibility. And so here we are. We're counting on them to join us and do the right thing. I want to thank my colleagues for joining us today. I want to thank everyone else who is here, and certainly want to ask if anyone has any questions. We're more than welcome to ask them at this point.
Senator Bernadette Hogan from New York One.
New York One.
Wondering, where are your Democratic colleagues? Were they invited to this press conference? And you only have a couple weeks left until the end of the legislative session. What more do you want to see from either the legislature or the governor on this? You said you haven't seen much action from the governor. What exactly
We've proposed legislation. Frankly, there were proposals in the budget that would have expanded hate and provided protections for hate. They were pulled out of the budget at the last minute. So that's really a question for them to answer. They were invited to participate in this. They were invited to hold hearings and specifically to ask on Columbia University and President Shafiq to participate in those hearings so that they can explain how we got to this process to begin with. They have yet to schedule a hearing. They have yet to even schedule their own press conference. They have yet to even put out a statement themselves. So the question is better directed at them, but their silence is deafening.
Right. The
Mark
one thing.
Ronich. Next question, Mark Ronich.
Hearings.
Of the Democrats being part of it, and also never mentioned what's going on at NYU, the encampment there, and SUNY New Paltz, which is a state college. So could you, do you think those presidents should resign also?
I think any president that has not intervened aggressively in protecting students generally, and in this case, not protecting Jewish students or frankly any other protected class, should resign immediately. It's shameful. Frankly, we can hold sessions, we can certainly hold roundtables and work groups, and we're prepared to do that. In the event that the majority chooses to ignore this, we will continue to move forward. But thanks for the question.
Why can't you have a hearing?
Hearings are very specific items. We can hold work groups.
Next
Thank you.
question, Jerusalem Post. Hannah.
How are you?
Hi. What specific actions would you like to see Governor Hochul take?
Well, look, she is the chief executive officer of this state. That means law enforcement answers to her. They should have intervened here well before the NYPD did. She said she came down to Columbia and she met with the leadership here at Columbia quietly. Well, I'd rather she didn't meet with them quietly.
Right.
I would rather she came in here loudly, held a press conference around here and told the world that this was wrong, but she didn't. She was afraid to do so, and she hasn't responded forcefully in all the time that this was going on. This is not an opportunity for us to sneak around meeting with people quietly. This is an opportunity of people of good conscience to stand up, show that we stand united, and that whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, whether you are a conservative or a so-called progressive, you should stand against hate.
Right. The one thing I would add is, you know, Jack said the governor was here. Were there any state senators and assembly people standing around with her? Most of the senators, and in fact mostly all, except on Staten Island, most of them are Democrats. Yet they don't come here. They're not speaking loudly. They're not protecting the residents and the students in this area. They've been silent, and that's embarrassing
For them.
Senator,
Last question.
what do you make of Mayor Adams' response to all the protests throughout the city? And also, he did suggest that Columbia or possibly other universities should foot the bill for overtime. Now, Governor Hochul said yesterday that she would continue to assess this, but do you think any state dollars should go to either the NYPD's overtime or any assistance that any of these universities might be asking for?
The institution behind me is the largest landowner in New York City, the largest private landowner in New York City. And they have a special status as a not-for-profit. They don't pay taxes. So yes, they should dip into their $1 billion endowment, and they should actually make things up to New York City, to the residents of New York City, as an elite university, a world-class university. No one should take that away from Columbia, not. But it should not be at the expense of us taxpayers here in New York State or in New York City. They owe a debt to this city. And as far as, Mayor Adams, good for him. I think he should have taken the initiative earlier. There are certainly opportunities for the NYPD to intervene on private property. He didn't have to wait to be invited, but when he did, he acted decisively, and I want to credit him for that.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Excellent.
I'm Hannah.